Welcome, Angry Friday is here. That's right, Angry Friday for the news recap of the week. And we got Wild William and I forgot to change my thing. I think I might just leave it up sometimes. But yes, I am David Dickerman, and this is Wild William going
Dickerman?
over. What?
You said I'm David Dickerman.
No, you're Wild William.
You said you're David Dickerwin. Okay, let's continue.
If you haven't caught up with us in a long time, I am not that very vocal on stuff. My language is messed up, and everybody likes to call me on it, especially the little folk that I have on the podcast that I graciously
if you ever see my wife say, "Look at that emergency vehicle there. What is that called?"
Ambulance.
She says ambulance.
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 Ambulance. That's going to be stuck in my head, and I'm going to keep on using that. Thank you very much for that. Anyways, yes, this week, Canada's went to the White House with the new prime minister that is absolutely trying to go for the net zero. What net zero is basically no carbon footprint, taking its tax on airplanes, all kinds of stuff, and totally destroying Alberta, which Alberta has come to flourishing and actually is trying to fight back.
Well, negotiating team to represent our province in negotiations with the federal government on the following reforms requested by our province. First, Alberta requires guaranteed corridor and port access to tidewater off the Pacific, Arctic, and Atlantic coasts for the international export of Alberta oil, gas, critical minerals, and other resources in amounts supported by the free market rather than by the dictates and whims of Ottawa. Second, the federal government must end all federal interference in the development of provincial resources by repealing the No New Pipelines Law, C-69, the oil tanker ban, the net zero electricity regulations, the oil and gas emissions cap, the net zero vehicle mandate, and any federal law or regulation that purports to regulate industrial carbon emissions, plastics, or the commercial free speech of energy companies. Third, the federal government must refrain from imposing export taxes or restrictions on the export of Alberta resources without the consent of the government of Alberta. Frankly, all provinces should be given that same respect for their resources. And fourth, the federal government must provide to Alberta the same per capita federal transfers and equalization as is received by the other three largest provinces, Quebec, Ontario, and British Columbia. We have no issue with Alberta continuing to subsidize smaller provinces with their needs, but there is no excuse for such large and powerful economies like Ontario, Quebec, BC, or Alberta to be subsidizing one another. That was never the intent of equalization, and it needs to end.
Now, saying that, there was another thing that came up too. Let me go ahead and bring this up.
Yet again, and I am now off to the US yet again to try and speak to Americans, this time through the second largest podcaster in the world, whose audience is made up of exactly the people we need to persuade to convince their president to change course on tariffs against Canada. And what does Team Carney want me to do? They want me to abandon my post, remain in Alberta, and do absolutely nothing to defend our province. They want me to cower in the face of Eastern media pundits and politicians who favor political grandstanding to effective diplomacy. I'm fiercely criticized for going into the lion's den to change the hearts and minds of the very Americans that we need on Canada's side to avoid a trade war with the most powerful economy on earth. They want this lady and Alberta to just sit down and shut up. Well, here is my response to that. I will not be silent. Alberta will not be silent. We will not be pushed around and called traitors for merely having the courage to actually do something about our nation's and province's predicament other than merely indulging in self-righteous tantrums. And I, for one, will never be silenced by the party in Ottawa that has sold out our beloved province for the last 10 years with the help of their NDP collaborators.
Problem is that was in March, and
Yeah.
I was hoping that Trump would give them some slack when he put the tariffs on to keep on her good side, and he didn't. But he came back and lowered his Canadian tariff on the oil that Alberta provides. Now she is really, really trying hard to walk a line. That's what I gather. There was an interview with her and another Australian media personality, and she was trying to nail her down on squashing the Alberta separatist movement. And to tell you their mentality on that is she should just stop it. She has a process in place. There's a process in place where they get so many signatures, they can put on a referendum, and then the citizens should vote. And the media and everyone, every liberal just says, why don't you just stop it? Well, that's what's happening around the world. Anything that goes against their narrative, their governments are just stopping it. And she said, I'm listening to my people. If they put it on, if they get enough signatures, it's going to be put on a referendum and they'll vote on it. So although she comes out in speeches and says, I'm not for Alberta separation, you get the feeling that C-69 that would stop pipelines, no way in hell that's going to be repealed. Everything she said on that list is complete 180 with Carney. They would and the people of Canada who, well, some of them blame Trump for Carney. Mike personally, yeah, but here's what some of them think.
That's if you're just listening, go Brad, bring that up again. Hold on. Stop. Go ahead, Bill. What he is showing for people that are just listening to us, he's showing a picture of Canadian citizen, whoever the prime minister is, and Donald Trump. And it's that one meme to where the guy's with his girlfriend and he turns around and looks back and is saying that woman is hot. Now, honestly, what do you think the chances in our opinions? I'm hoping that Alberta actually does succeed, because I was looking up at the data like a couple of days ago. In Alberta, that's the prize. That's the gold. Rest of it's kind of like But in the aspects of the GDP of most of those provinces, Alberta's the one that you want to nab.
I don't remember the exact number, but I think one of them said that if Alberta was its own entity, it would be something like the 5th richest country in the world if it was its own country.
Really?
Yeah, with all of its oil that they're not going to let go anywhere. I mean, she. I don't know if I mentioned this last week. Her thought was get a pipeline to the coast, and going from the coast to the Asia to Japan, that would be quicker than any route from the United States as far as the transit time. But that discounts Trump building the pipeline in Alaska. So if he builds the pipeline, then that argument would be moot. That she wouldn't be able to get, but she's not going to get that pipeline built anyway. There's no way the liberal government and the Greens, who control a small portion, it's still it's still conservative, barely, as far as their seats in their parliament. So it would need 100% of the votes of who they have, and then some picked off of the other party to get a pipeline. And the other parties have basically said no way in hell.
Well, speaking of Pacific area, California is getting rid of, not California the state, but the actual companies are getting out of California, and those are big oil refineries. So it's going to be a lot tougher to get to the Pacific. So that would actually bolster that if Alberta is able to get a pipeline, which hopefully they can, in the economical scale for them. But it's hopeful dreams for them.
Well, do you really want them to get that pipeline? Because if they don't get that pipeline, then they have to rely on us.
Oh, yeah.
The leaders in Australia, Canada, they talk so big on, oh, we can do this without American. We can do this without American. And if you saw, Carney's thing on the things, do we need Australia's lumber? No, I can just tell our people, okay, we'll give you all the permits to start producing more lumber here. We don't need them. And he went through product by product. We don't need them. But they don't have the refineries for diesel fuel. They can refine a little over half of the diesel fuel that they need. They can refine, but the eco-fascist wackos, they had them close down so many refineries that they rely on us for diesel. So Alberta sends us the heavy crude that we refine into diesel, and we send it back there. They send it to us for a good price. Then we give them a good price for diesel. And they say, well, America has to import oil. Well, we make more on it because we end up exporting our own oil, but we get that's at a greater price. But then we have our little trade deal going with Canada, so we get that oil cheaper. So we can export the more expensive because we import cheaper. So we're still a net exporter, and we can produce all the oil we need.
Yeah, well, a lot of that stuff, it's one of those things. I kind of want Canada to start doing oil, because the prices of oil will go down a little bit more because of that. It won't go up. But Canada's actually trying to do a trade shift away from the U.S. immense trade tension. Canada trade with the United States has tumbled in March. Well, that was in March. It's actually gotten a lot better since then. I'm sorry. That was actually 3 days ago they reported on this. So bear with me. Exports to U.S. dropped from 6.6% during the month, while imports from the U.S. fell by 2.9% amidst growing public discontent towards Canada's long-standing ally and top of the trade partner, according to the data released by Statistics Canada on Tuesday. Total fell about 0.2% in March, mainly on lower prices areas. Import tumbled by 1.5. Canada's trade deficit shrank to 1 billion Canadian dollars, roughly 1.4 billion in US dollars in February, to 367 million Canadian dollars, which is a 506 million in US in March. Its trade surplus with US fell to 6.1 billion, roughly 8.4 billion. This decline was almost entirely offset by the significant rise in imports to country other than the United States. This agency said, highlighting that 24.8% surge in other overseas shipments. Canada increased imports of gold to the United Kingdoms and crude oil to the Netherlands, various goods to Germany. Exports of motor vehicles and parts also increased amid U.S. tariff targeting the auto sector. Imports of pharmaceuticals and uranium to the U.S., as well as pork to Asia, markets declined. Natural gas exports also fell. Now, steel and exports dropped while aluminum exports rose for a fourth straight month. Imports of steel declined, but imports of aluminum grew as both products faced 25% U.S. tariffs. Analysts have warned that the full effect of the tariffs have not been seen yet, and Canada should brace for an increased headwinds to trade as the worst of the trade conflict to expect to take place over the coming quarter. Now, saying that, even Trump is saying we don't need their steel, we don't need their aluminum, we don't need a lot of their products. And even when he the prime minister came to the White House this week, it was literally the new prime minister saying, it was like, well, we're hoping to have good trade deals with U.S. to help bolster both the economies. And Trump goes, we really don't need you. I mean, it was a long speech, but that was all he had to do was, we really don't need you. Why are you here? I mean, it's kind of ballsy.
Originally, with keep going.
Go ahead.
Originally, when he was negotiating with the USMCA, he was dickering around with the no. Okay,
Keep it going, Bill. Don't lose focus. Jesus.
he was dickering around with the tariffs between on Australia and on Canada as he was negotiating for the USMCA or the CAUS, whatever. In Canada, they actually call it different with a Canadian name first. But that's part of his negotiation is increase the tariff on this country, decrease the tariff on this country. So the latest deal that, and this will help where you work. Did you hear this? His latest deal with the UK. So he's supposedly going to have a baseline tariff of 10% eventually on everything. And then he's like, well, as a bargaining tool, he said today, I can drop that, and I might here and there. And right now, his deal that he announced when he was sitting there with the UK is he has reduced aluminum and steel tariffs to 0 from the UK. So whatever with Canada, we can increase the tariffs on them, but he put it as 0. And he also dropped to 0 the tariff on Rolls-Royce auto and aircraft parts.
Well,
just on those items, he kept the baseline and higher on other items, but he dropped those 3 items to 0.
no, I can't talk about what because it would be considered insider trading if anybody listens to this that actually bought stock. But let's just say a lot of the stuff is going down in June for not a lot of products being produced from our facility. But we still produce some of the stuff for a lot of the. We got a lot of what do you call it? Fingers in a lot of pies, so it's not really worrisome.
He also, and I don't know the exact number, and part of this deal is that you will purchase so many such and such aircraft from us. So he added aircraft in the deal also.
Yeah, it's understandable that when we're doing trade deals that we sell them products too, and they have to buy a certain amount of stuff. And it's actually good for. I mean, they don't have a military like we do, and from going out to where a lot of Canadians live. You know where Canadians more or less live?
Down in the South and on the coasts.
Yeah, that's it.
Now they do have an awesome exhibition aircraft team that does rival our Thunderbirds.
You do not open your mouth like that ever again.
Oh, you should see the Canadian Snowbird.
No. I don't care for Cobra chickens. And that's what you're talking about. You're talking about Cobra chickens. And I don't, being an American, I don't feel that you need to speak ill of the Thunderbirds.
The Canadian Snowbirds flew out at Shepherd in an air show.
I didn't see him. It's like John Cena. He could be right in front of me. I still wouldn't see him.
Well, I worked on the flight lines, so they would do little exhibitions as they practiced for us that we would see before the big air show. But they were cool. The Italians still have the best, they've done maneuvers better than anything I've seen the US do. They're insane.
That's because they don't go to war or anything.
They think they're going to. They think they're going to go fight Russia and Ukraine. But whatever, they're insane. Their green people will never. Their green people will never let them spend money on a military.
No, America won't let them spend money on a military only because, well, we kind of had to do something back in the 40s with them. I don't know where it was coming from, but that's what it was.
Well, no, there's the EU, and all the EU members are supposed to be increasing their military to break away from the US, and yeah, they're going to find out. No, we need the US. It's like China. So China goes around and says, well, everyone's buying from China already. They can't really increase their sales too much because everyone's already buying their garbage. So when they lose us, they lose us. They don't lose us and, oh, we'll go sell it some other place. They lose us. So the China is being destroyed.
It really is, because I've been. It's called the YouTube channel has been business. I can find it. Hold on. Let me find it real quick, because it's Business Finder or something like that. They constantly talk about China all the time.
China Observer?
No. It's on YouTube.
No, I've got it.
You got to be kidding me. I constantly see these videos on my feed all the time. And then when I would need to find out what the thing is called, it's nowhere near anything. Yeah.
Well, I got a few videos on the topic. One of the things the liberals keep saying is, "Oh, he's going to hurt things. Things will be off of our shelves. Oh no!" And they talk about it like the tariffs are forever. No, okay. In a couple of months, things might be off our shelves for a couple of months. In the meanwhile, There's millions of people out of a job in China.
Yeah,
Millions. But they never say anything about it. And one of the big things, and I'll get into that here in a minute, is origin laundering.
what?
Origin laundering.
What's origin laundering?
That's where China, okay, they can't get products to us because of the tariffs. So China goes to like Taiwan or Malaysia and they say, okay, we'll sell our products to you. You don't touch them. You just slap your label on it and then ship it to the US. That avoids that. That gets their products sold, moved to the US, no tariffs. But, and this is why Trump couldn't do their, oh, you need to work with one country at a time and China by itself and negotiate tariffs and all this. No, he knows what he's doing. He had to do it all at once. Boom.
Well, we already talked about the reason why he had to do it all at once, because China was well, there's actually a name for it, but basically he was taking up islands. A lot of people were making fun of him. It's like, oh, the only thing on that island is penguins. The reason why he had to do that is because they would actually make a port there and say it's coming from that place instead of China, which a lot of businesses do that. It's not just them.
But the thing he needed to work with the quickest is the actual physical countries that are doing it. Like, let me go ahead and play a video here.
Okay.
Talks with Taiwan. Taiwan's government said on Saturday it has concluded its first round of substantive tariff talks with the United States, describing the atmosphere as frank and cordial.
Taiwan's government said on Saturday that it's concluded its first round of tariff talks with the United States.
U.S. officials have confirmed that Taiwan is among the first 4 countries for reciprocal tariff negotiations, along with Korea, Japan, and Vietnam. This reflects the United States' view of these countries as playing critical roles in supply chain integration.
The talks focused on tariffs, non-tariff trade barriers, and various other U.S.-Taiwan issues. Both sides expressed their common expectations for strengthening U.S.-Taiwan economic and trade cooperation. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te said Taiwan has the capability to advance the United States' AI vision. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, also known as TSMC, announced $100 billion investment in the U.S. in March.
Taiwan is willing to invest in the U.S. and support its reindustrialization efforts. Taiwan also has the capability to advance President Trump's vision of establishing the U.S. as a global hub for AI.
As the U.S. brings manufacturing back, Taiwan and Japan can play key roles. Taiwan can contribute not only in semiconductor manufacturing, but also in much traditional manufacturing, like machine tools, metal processing, and petrochemicals. Its manufacturing sectors have the capacity to invest in the U.S. beyond semiconductors.
Taiwan runs a large trade surplus with the U.S. It was due to be hit with 32% reciprocal tariffs. President Trump last month put all reciprocal tariffs on pause for 90 days, except those targeting China. Reporting from Taiwan, Joy Chu, NTD News.
Amid tariff talks, there's a
Okay. And just to let everybody know, it's called Business Basics. They here lately, all they've been talking about is how they're saying 300 million jobless crisis in China, which you would have to check that out. But one, through that whole interview, I'm surprised they kept on saying Taiwan as a Chinese citizen. The Chinese people, there is no Taiwan. It's only China. It's part of China.
That particular person was from Taiwan.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. The news is news, basically Asian news. It's not just, they're not just interviewing people in China. They probably wouldn't be able to interview someone and get that out of China.
No, because of from looking at all the people that are actually the information that's coming out of China, and it's basically China's doing well, even though we have like reports that they're having a housing crisis, or not housing, mortgage crisis. They're having a mortgage crisis. They're having all kinds of stuff that's happening. The people that are trying to get to work, get them to work, don't want to work. A lot of it's just everything's going downhill. And this is not because of Trump's tariffs. This has actually been going on I've been following this since October, of all the stuff that's going on with October 2024. All the stuff that's going on with China.
It's like if you see the pictures of the big construction where there's ghost cities, that's it. They're creating ghost cities and no one's moving to them. So they end up being very few people or completely empty.
Well, they're making the cities just to have people work, really. The ones that actually want to work.
Yeah. They're running out of money, and the leader, he's going to get overthrown.
Well, there's already talks, because there's from what a lot of people are reporting right now. I don't know if this is actually like hard evidence, because most of my stuff I'm getting like news reports from like Australia, Business Basics, a lot of other places. But there's civil unrest. They're writing from what they're saying. I don't know if they have, because it's so hard to do it in a communist country like that, is basically do the groundwork of reporting. It's very hard to do it in places like that. And any other country other than like US, it's kind of hard, but it's not like super difficult. You just got to have the will to do it. But
got a couple more videos.
Go ahead.
And one of them describes, it kind of does a better job describing origin laundering. And let me get that going.
Origin laundering ads appear online in China, raising concerns among neighboring countries. The escalating tariff dispute between the United States and China is causing significant financial strain for Chinese export companies. To circumvent high tariffs, some manufacturers are turning to origin laundering, a practice where goods are minimally processed in a third country, relabeled, and shipped to the U.S. as products of that country. Advertisements for these services have surged on Chinese social media platforms, with companies openly offering to reroute goods through countries like Malaysia to obtain new certificates of origin. In response, Malaysia and neighboring nations have tightened inspections to avoid being used as transshipment hubs for such activities. The U.S. has intensified efforts to curb Chinese companies using nearby countries to disguise the origin of their goods. Origin laundering typically involves superficial processing in a transit country before relabeling and exporting to the target market. With President Trump imposing tariffs as high as 145% on Chinese products, exporters fear losing access to the lucrative U.S. market. Consequently, some Chinese firms are acting as intermediaries, facilitating transshipment through third countries. Since early April, advertisements from re-export freight forwarding companies have proliferated online. On May 6th, Epoch Times reporters identified multiple posts on Douyin from an account called Ruby, Third Country Transshipment, promoting services to ship goods to Malaysia for relabeling and certification, enabling sales to the U.S. Similarly, a Douyin account named Jingwei Consolidation and Transshipment Trade Logistics shared a video on April 7th, declaring transshipment as a growing industry trend. The video outlined how Jingwei Shipping leverages resources at major transshipment ports to provide authentic, efficient documentation, claiming to bypass anti-dumping trade barriers. Under U.S. trade regulations, goods must undergo significant transformation, such as value-adding manufacturing or processing, in a country to qualify for that country's tariff rates. However, some Chinese exporters are evading these rules by mixing high and low-value goods and declaring an average price to reduce customs duties. These tactics have raised alarms among U.S. businesses. A senior executive from one of Amazon's top independent sellers told the Financial Times that falsified origins put their goods at risk of seizure by the U.S. Customs. Several of China's neighbors have reported a sharp increase in goods inflows, prompting stricter measures to prevent trade fraud. In April, countries like South Korea, Vietnam, Thailand, and Malaysia announced enhanced
things will get smoother. Now, as a follow-up to that, he mentioned Malaysia and it going through Malaysia. That has just ended.
The Malaysian government just made a major announcement. Starting May 6, only one agency, MITI, will be allowed to issue certificates of origin for goods going to the United States. In the past, chambers of commerce could also issue these certificates, but from tomorrow on, they won't be allowed to anymore. That means if you want to ship goods to the US through Malaysia, it's going to be almost impossible. I've said before that using transshipment to the US is a big gamble. At least there used to be a chance to take that gamble, but now even that window is closing.
This video was posted by a TikTok user named Malaysian Daiga on May 5th. It shows that Chinese companies trying to use Malaysia to disguise the origin of their goods now have no more options. Some people online commented, was the whole Southeast Asia trip a waste? Others pointed out that even certificates issued by MITI might not help, because in the end, it's up to US Customs. If they say it's transshipment, then it is. Many Chinese users commented using one phrase, hit the snake where it hurts, and well done. On May 5th, Malaysia's Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, acronym MITI, announced that starting May 6th, it will be the only authority allowed to issue non-preferential certificates of origin for exports to the US. It will no longer allow local chambers, associations, or other authorized bodies to issue these certificates. A non-preferential certificate of origin, NPCO, is a document used to confirm the origin of goods in international trade, usually required by customs in the receiving country. MITI said in a statement that the government is firmly committed to upholding the integrity of international trade. It will also introduce other measures to crack down on illegal transshipment of goods to the US through Malaysia. These measures include stricter audits of NPCO applicants and working with Malaysian customs to investigate and punish violators. The statement also said that the government considers any attempt to avoid tariffs through false declarations a serious violation, whether it's the value or origin of goods. According to local media, some Chinese manufacturers have used Malaysia as a transit point and even faked certificates of origin. In some cases, people reportedly paid only about 100 ringgit or 24 yuan for a fake certificate used to ship goods to the US. Malaysia's Trade Minister Tengku Zafrul Aziz said in Parliament on May 5th that they've received many complaints from industry partners. He said a lot of items from other countries were being labeled as if they were made in Malaysia. Malaysia's exports to the US are about to face a 24% reciprocal tariff in July. For now, the basic tariff is only 10%. By comparison, US tariffs on Chinese goods are at least 145%. The Associated Chinese Chambers of Commerce and Industry of Malaysia released a statement supporting MITI's actions. They said Malaysia's lower tariffs with the US has encouraged some companies to reroute their shipments or misclassify products to avoid higher export duties. The statement explained that transshipment could distort trade data and lead to foreign goods being dumped in the market. That would threaten local small and micro businesses, which already have very thin profit margins. In early April, the Trump administration announced reciprocal tariffs on import.
Okay, we're back to the Trump announcement. So China, the leaders in China, what they were talking about is went around Asia, went to these other countries, trying to shore up methods like this. But that's why in the video, they said, was it a waste that he went around Asia? Well, pretty much, because Trump is making these deals with everyone. He had to stop this. If he had just dealt with China and said, okay, we're going to do the trade, all this ancillary stuff would still be going on. That's why Trump has said it's not just about the money, it's about the process.
Yeah, we talked about that slightly a couple of weeks ago with the luxury bags like Gucci. That's the only one I know. But with all the luxury bags that were made in China, but they were shipped to their like France, Italy, all those the high end places, and all they did was put the names of the company on them, more or less, and then they shipped them out saying they're high priced, selling a bag for like $3,000 when you can buy them for like there are websites like, hey, you can get your Gucci bag for like $3. We'll sell it for $3.
Did we get into that with a detailed video or not?
Yeah. It was detailed videos of the actual people from. I guess they were selling their products. It's like because they took all those videos down. It's hard to find.
Okay, well, let me run this one for about 5 minutes.
Okay.
And it goes into that, and well, you'll see. Oh no. Production value will improve soon.
Maybe.
Louis Vuitton is showing where their products are manufactured, despite all these claims.
More than 80% of the luxury bags in the world are made in China. But those luxury brands just won't acknowledge that. They take almost finished bags from China.
Bill, you muted your mic.
Of workers in their factories carefully stitching handbags.
In countries and just to do the repackaging and logo installing, something like that.
Well, Louis Vuitton did not stay quiet. They resurfaced what looks like an old video footage of workers in their factories carefully stitching handbags. I guess they were hoping that this video would help to clarify that their products are indeed made in Europe. But the video footage raised a number of questions across the internet. Many people on the internet drew numerous suspicions about the workers, claiming that they were just using random people who don't seem to even know what they are doing. They claimed that it looked as if Louis Vuitton was desperately trying to prove a point, claiming that it looked more like a staged PR stunt than real transparency. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, Louis Vuitton raised its prices on some of its luxury products, particularly in the United States. And all of this came in response to the new 10% tax that were imposed on all goods coming to America from European countries. So, with that, Louis Vuitton is passing on the extra costs of the tariffs to consumers by raising their product prices. If these luxury items are being manufactured in China for a fraction of the cost, did they really need to raise the prices? They didn't even warn people of their price increases. Product prices just sort of increased overnight. They saw an opportunity to raise prices and they just did it. Anyways, back to that footage of the LV factory workers. It seems that the video did not convince anyone because the public was very skeptical of that video and had tons of questions of whether it was truly showing real factory workers or was it just another PR stunt to save face?
So now, rumors are swirling that the company has reportedly sued several of those Chinese manufacturers for allegedly leaking trade secrets. They are accusing them of exposing the supply chain, violating non-disclosure agreements, and allegedly giving their blueprints to other manufacturers that have used it to make perfect fakes. Some of these factories are apparently the ones claiming that they produce majority of the luxury brand goods, which appears to be true, but also seems that they were apparently infringing on the blueprints of the luxury brands that allegedly acquired them to manufacture their specific products.
More than 80% of the luxury bags in the world are made in China, but those luxury brands just won't acknowledge that. They take almost finished bags from China factories back to their own countries and just do the repackaging and logo installing, something like that. That way, the bags will appear at their boutiques as made in Italy or made in France. You know, those sophisticated European countries, which make you feel mysterious, royal, and thus luxury.
Louis Vuitton and other luxury brands still haven't provided any proof that these claims are in fact false. Well, except for that factory video, which remains quite questionable. And it seems more and more difficult to refute those claims, especially when more and more people keep saying the same thing, and some even claiming to have witnessed everything firsthand.
Whole thing with China exposing luxury brands, Lululemon, Louis Vuitton, Hermes, all of these brands is real. My parents worked in import-export my whole life. Over 30 years they have been in this. Before Alibaba was a thing, my parents were the middleman. American companies will come to them and say, hey, we want these things made in China. And my parents will go actually to China and source the goods and find the factories to make whatever product it might be. Products get shipped back to the US, they slap a label on it, they sell it at, major retail stores. I have known this, that luxury brands are made in the same factory as knockoff brands. When I was in college, I had a pair of UGG boots that just didn't have the UGG tag on it because my parents went to the factory and they were sourcing for a shoe company. They said, hey, we're going to send you this pair. It was literally $5. You love Uggs. It doesn't have the logo, but it's the same quality from the same factory. I have known this for basically my whole life. And the fact that this is just now coming out is hilarious to me. Just because it's made in China doesn't mean it's garbage. Just because it's made in Italy doesn't mean it's amazing. And most of the time it's not. So beware of what you're buying and don't just always buy designer things.
If you made it this far into the video,
we made it that far.
Yeah. And yeah, it was basically the same thing that we were talking about last time. That was just a longer video and had extra stuff on it. But yeah, all that stuff comes from China anyways. We don't make anything like textiles is made from like different countries. Made in China and shipped in and said it's this. It's always it made me laugh when I found that out like a couple of years back. And the only reason why I found out about it is because of the Trump hats. We don't do textiles anymore here in the United States. Very, very small amounts. What we used to.
Okay, I know. I bought it. You can go to the official Trump store and you can get the Trump hat, or you can buy it from something that pops up on a Facebook ad. Oh, this is a political company. Okay. And so if you watch probably the first few episodes of our show, the Trump hat I had on was garbage. The stitching, the lettering, the font, it was a knockoff because I got it and I went, huh? So I actually got a knockoff hat and I had to order the regular from the official Trump store, Make America Great Again hat. So yeah, I know what you're talking about with hats. I was taken.
Were you taken though? You were just being cheap, Bill. Buy American.
Well, just to let you know something else that happened. A Shure, what is the model? 4MDB, with the top of the line Shure microphone. I ordered it from Amazon because it was $50 cheaper because the price had already gone up on Shure's website. Okay, so I get it and I look at it and I go, The box is kind of torn a little. You can tell it's been open and resealed with tape in another language. And it didn't have, well, when I got the new one, it didn't have the little serial number in a hologram on the side. And it actually had a label of a different Shure microphone that is a drum microphone for picking up drum sounds. It had the barcode of that stuck on the box. The outer box was the Shure box, but everything else about it. So I sent it back with a nice note on Amazon that, hey, I think you're being taken by this this group. And then I looked on Shure's website, and sure enough, it actually had something on their website that they had sued a company, because there are companies out there making fakes of their product and packaging them as though it was their product. So their recommendation is only buy our product from an actual certified dealer, Best Buy and all that. And that's probably why Best Buy said, we price match Amazon. And then he went, if it is shipped and sold by Amazon.
I get my stuff from Sweetwater. So they're decent prices, and they ship candy for you. Yeah. I love Sweetwater. They call you and make sure everything's going well. It is a good company. I will not dog Sweetwater ever. I mean, you would have to, even with a gun to my head, I would like, you want me to what? This is where loyalty goes into play.
Ooh, let's see. Sweetwater.
Yeah.
Oh man, the way I said ooh. I know it's not Christmas time, so we won't play the probably couldn't anyway for copyright, the Saturday Night Live skit Sweaty Balls.
Oh, yeah. They
would
get copyrighted really bad. Dude, I didn't tell you that one of our videos got taken down because of a couple of our videos got taken down because of copyright stuff, because someone was on our freaking thing for idiot reasons. But the main thing was we did the weird sport of Olympic breakdancing, and NBC and the Olympic Committee nuked that entire footage. You cannot. It's another one of those ones that are hard to find. Unless
was it our video or another one that you put out with someone else?
No, it was one of our videos. But I all I did was edit it out. I edited the video part of it and added in our audio and put in and typed in, we can't show you the video because NBC nuked it. But we could talk about it. And we did that.
So you were able to actually repost it, so it does exist?
Yeah. The video of that episode still exists. It would just, we had to cut it from the live. But, oh well. It happens.
There was did we mention this last week about someone who got their channel shut down? And I think you said they got it reopened, who said that they will flag it for recorded or live. So it was something live that they had edited and took it out like you just did, except they went ahead and shut the channel down. Even though it was in the live, they had it on there, they edited it, reposted it without that. But since the live had it, the station was knocked anyway. Even though they took it down and edited, and they fought it and got it back. Sweetwater. Okay. Has nothing to do with Texas, does it? Or is
No,
it in Sweetwater, Texas?
No, it's North Carolina.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I'd talk to him all the time about all this equipment I get.
Oh, you get the audio, all your show equipment from there?
But another thing that we wanted to talk about was, are we going to talk about the Muslim whitewashing in Europe and how it pertains to the United States also?
Yeah, two things I'd like to get into, that and Group M.
Okay.
Now, I did screenshots, so I'll go through this with screenshots, and I'll be reading through the screenshots exactly what happened, because I don't have the actual tweets up. And what happened is, well, let's go ahead. The EU plans to spend 10 million euros on falsifying history and whitewashing Islam through a research project called the European Quran, whose goal is to cement the narrative that Islam and the Quran have contributed to European civilization. Like the propaganda, Islam is the religion of peace, wasn't enough. So they're trying to encourage more Islamic migration. And I'll go through a couple of the responses to that. It needs to be understood that the EU is satanic in the truest sense, meaning they simply hate Christ and will do anything to destroy the church, even if it meant trying to convert the continent to Islam. They would happily submit to the entire continent to Islam if they thought this is what would destroy Christ. And what you do is you look at comments underneath it until you find something like this, where this guy goes, both of you go to hell. And this is how you get information. You find someone like that, and then you look at his followers. Then you start reading comments by his followers. And it wouldn't even let me let me copy paste the bio so that I could see what he was talking about, or what he was about. So I copy pasted the bio, an image of it, into Grok, and he translated it. So if you have any problems getting translations, getting Google Translate or something to work, just copy the image itself and plop it into Grok.
Now, what does it say?
You take over for a moment, and I'll pull up what it said.
Okay, because I can't.
This was kind of something we were going to do last week, and I had a lot more information on it. But let me go ahead and pull that up, because I asked Grok to translate his bio, and then I started reading and translating some of the posts below it. And that's where you can really see how much that the Islamic invasion of Europe, they do want to destroy it. It isn't just a nice little, oh, we're welcoming people in. We're welcoming people in and not looking at their goals.
Yeah, and then it's the same thing with the United States too. A lot of those Muslim communities, especially here in Texas, and I'll get into that right now while you look for that translation. Now, in Texas, in Plano, Texas, they're creating something called the Epic City. Now, Texas Greg Abbott has insisted Sierra law is not allowed in Texas in response to proposal of the new Islamic-themed town near Josephine, around 40 minutes from Dallas. The project is called Epic City, in which orchestrated by the East Plano Islamic Center on a 402-acre piece of land that includes parts of Collin and Hunt County. News Weekly reached out to East Plano Islamic Center via online inquiry for comment on Tuesday. During the first term of office, President Donald Trump banned travel to the United States from another number of Muslim majority countries having called for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the country during the campaign. After returning to office in January 20, Trump signed a executive order instructing officials to make a list of nations for which vetting and screening information is so defunct. Stephanie Hawking. I'm gonna have to Stephanie Hawking on this one.
Stephanie Hawking? I didn't know. Is that Stephen's wife?
Deficient as a warrant a parallel or full suspension on the administration of nationals from which those countries are. The Epic City project is being managed by Community Capital Partners, which was created by East Plano Islamic Center for this purpose. Proximately planned to show over 1,000 houses, a mosque, a faith-based school, retail shop, and community college split between two sections named Epic Ranches 1 and 2. Earlier this month, East Plano Islamic Center resident scholar Stephanie Hawking, again.
Yasser
Qadhi gave an update on the project, which he said would be a Muslim neighborhood while being well integrated into the wider community. However, the plan has attracted spectacles from Abbott, who shared a post on X from Conservative Commissioner Amy Meck, warning that a 402-acre Sierra City is being built in Texas. Responding to Meck's Abbott post, to be clear, Sierra law is not allowed in Texas, nor are Sierra cities, nor are no-go zones, which this project seems to imply. When reached for comment, Abbott's office referred Newsweekly back to the X post. Sierra is a law of Islamic based on teachings of the Quran. Newsweekly can't find any reference from the Epic City organizers to their new statement being governed by Sierra law or any other U.S. law. In the statement provided by Dallas Morning News, Community Capital Partners insist they would abide the Fair Housing Act, which bans discriminating in housing based on certain characteristics, including religion. They added they will not enforce blanket bans on any group of people, but will conduct thorough individual assessment of prospect buyers to ensure they align with our goals of safety and security. What are people saying? East Plano Islamic Center resides school, Yasser Qadhi, whatever. Epic City is going to be a role model community of thousands of Muslims living well integrated. We have not formed a cult. We have not formed a big barrier between the rest of society. We're going to be giving back to this state and this country, and we're going to show what it means to be a Muslim neighborhood. Our vision is to build a diverse, inclusive community, one in which people of the background, faith, and culture can live together in harmony. We will uphold the safety and well-being of our neighbors at every step of development, starting with throughout individual assessment of prosperous buyers and ensuring they align with our goals in safety and security. Again, now saying that, and not to be a spoil sport on that, there's already a lot of flack that are coming that I've been seeing on newsreels and everything. And this is just theory at this point. And what that is a lot of people, and including people in Europe, are saying that they are found documents that show that the Muslim community that are coming over here or going into Europe are trying to implement their values onto that country, whatever country it is, as it be a U.S., as it be a U.S. Country in origin. It doesn't really matter. What they want to do is they want to integrate their laws, their beliefs onto you. And that's going from people that are joining in Congress. It's people joining into their city council, stuff like that. It's already it's in the works.
In the UK, the mayor of London has been Islamic for a long time, and now they're getting more and more of their city council mayors in other cities are Muslim, and it won't be long before Muslims outnumber the actual born in the people in the UK.
What's really strange though is places in like New York where they have like cop car looking vehicles that say Sharia law mandate or whatever. Let me find the photo of it. But what it is, they're basically implementing Sharia law into. Let me do it this way. Okay. Let me. No, that's not it. Damn. Hold on. Okay. And let me see if I can bring it up bigger. There we go. Yes. And it's called Muslim Community Patrol. These are the cop cars with that.
Ooh.
Yeah. And it's kind of hard to differentiate from that to a actual New York City police car. And this is go ahead and read the article. And this is the New York City Muslims being community safety patrols. On March 14th, New York City Muslims were putting their families to bed when detailing emergencies of mass shootings at two mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand. About 15,000 kilometers away. The white supremacists have targeted Friday prayers, which they should not have targeted their prayers. I sound like we're hating on their religion. I believe in freedom of religion at all costs, but I don't believe in the religion hindering other people's freedoms. Now, saying that, we stopped our car, we parked, we are just in tears. We are just devastated. And that's when they started doing the Muslim Community Patrol and Services. The MCPS is aimed at protecting members of the local community from escalated quality of lights, nuisances, and crimes, its website said. Its mission took on added after the attacks of New Zealand. Traumatized members of the community who have seen videos of the attack on social media sought help from MCPS and local venues and rallies. Now, here's the problem with that. Anytime that you have a group that I totally believe in policing your own neighborhood. Cops can't be everywhere, honestly. But the problems with that, and this is going back from like a lot of time from, I mean, they're what starts out being a helpful hand starts being an organized crime. It's a story all the time. That's what a lot of organized crime is. The Irish mob. Or not the Irish mob, but the Italian mafia in New York. It's starting out just helping out, from lawlessness and cops not being able to be there. And it ended up being like an organized crime venue. It's sad to see it that way, but in all reality, that's what it comes around to it. If someone that believes they are authoritarian over people, they get this niche that, hey, I can start bullying people. It was the whole I think it was 1970s, 1970s and 1950s. I forget what the date was, but it was a Stanford University did a study on prisoners and inmates, or inmates and security guards. And a lot of people got hurt because the people that were portraying and this is all fake. This was all just a study. And whether they found out is the people that were the guards, or told that they were the guards, were bullying people and undermining people, and it just treating them like trash. And it's what happens in situations like that. And do I understand their fear? Yes. Do I understand that you should come as a group of people, no matter what your background is, Christian, Muslim, Judea, Buddhist, Viking, Norse religion? It doesn't matter, but y'all should come together and actually be proper with each other. If someone's bullying somebody, you go out and you ask why they're getting bullied, because sometimes it's actually a good reason, like, maps. But it could be something where the person is just not handling the day that well, and they're just going irate after that moment, like that woman in the car that the cop stopped, and they made a heavy metal video about it. Did you ever see that?
No. Yeah, you mentioned the Norse gods. You said gods in Norse.
Yes, Norse religion.
Yeah, the Norse gods. I was going to take 2 cruises one year in Europe, and I was going to do one in the south where the Greek gods, and then I was going to do one in the north that was the Norse gods, and I was going to call it Cruises of the Gods.
That's nice, Bill. How does it pertain to this episode?
You mentioned Norse.
Yeah, I mentioned Norse.
You said Norse. Well, you also mentioned that New Zealand, and you mentioned the Islamic in New Zealand. I just found out something this week, and I can't believe I didn't notice this or know this, that in Australia, their immigrant problem, they have an immigrant problem too. It goes back to the World Economic Forum Agenda 2030 and the world being one, and they want immigration. So it's a problem worldwide. But do you know who is immigrating to Australia that's causing the problems?
Yeah, people from the Philippines.
Not Islamic.
People from the Philippines?
People from China. They're overrun with China so much that they just had their election and some of their campaign material was in Chinese.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's scary.
Well, and you get one of the senators I follow is a big Trump fan. He's a senator in Australia. And he made this is kind of goes into it. I was following the Canadian election so much that I went, oh, Australia just had their election. I can't believe I did that as much as I follow Australia. But our elections, we said they're rigged, and they said, show us the proof. There's other ways of an election being rigged. And he made one of the best points, and it's something I had said for years. Anytime you say, well, what are the proof? Well, there's more ways than just, stuffing ballots. He said, I'll begin by stating the obvious. There is no meaningful difference between Labor and Liberal anymore. That's their parties. With that said, yes, the election was rigged, but not in the way most assume. It was rigged by a legacy media class that overwhelmingly leans left. It was rigged by a public service that exists to grow itself and protect big government. It was rigged by education institutions long infiltrated by radical Marxists. It was rigged by internal liberal party factions that deliberately sabotaged their own party. And it was rigged by decades of mass migration from countries where dependence on government is the norm, importing a new voting base for their duopoly. So yes, it was rigged, just not with ballot stuffing. This is cultural capture. And then someone mentioned a group called, have you heard about Group M? They control our advertising and media and advertising, and even do journalist training. They control New Zealand media too, and are linked to Internews Network. So when you see something like that, when you see something like that, you got to go, are they also in the United States? So I did. And yes, they're in the United States, and they put millions in it. And you don't look at just the 15 million that they've put. You look at the groups that they give the media to, and then you find $60 billion. It just grows and grows. But so that is something I found from specifically from Australia, looking at the Australian news media and Australian people. And who does that media company work with?
American companies.
Yeah, that's who this company that I was put on their trail by a post from Australia. And this is how we get our news, not how I get my news. A lot of times I'll get it by looking at other countries and seeing what they do, and then asking the question, is it here also?
Be right back. I gotta do something again.
Uh-oh. I'm by myself. Well, I guess I'll go back to the topic of that guy who I translated through Grok. And his translation came to... Don't lock up. Don't lock up. Okay, his translation came to Manaka. He's a vocal BRICS enthusiast, champions global South unity, and critiques Western dominance with a flair for golden heart emojis. He fiercely debates global conflicts, slamming fake news and cheering repercussions with sharp multilingual jabs. So then I said, what is all that translated to English? He said, the text in the image includes a mix of English emojis and some non-English characters. Here's the translation breakdown. Mananka is the display name of the user. He is Israel Delinda Est, don't know the pronunciation, translates to it's basically he's into anti-Bitcoin too. He said it remains in English Latin. Delinda is Latin for must be destroyed. So this means Israel must be destroyed. And then there's the symbol in there is a prohibition sign emoji indicating opposition or banning. And then a Chinese slogan was in it, translates to 50 cents in English. It's a slang term often used to refer to people who allegedly paid by the Chinese government to post pro-government comments online, as in 50 cents per post. Another word in his bio, I won't even try to pronounce it, seems to be a stylized or possibly misspelled term, potentially referring to BRICS, which is the Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa alliance that we don't want to see grow, or a related concept given the context of the flags. So the profile highlights a focus on Bitcoin, a strong anti-Israel stance, Israel must be destroyed, criticism of pro-Chinese internet commentators, and support for BRICS and other global South nations, with the user being based in Tel Aviv, Israel, according to the location. So if it's true, this guy is based in Tel Aviv and he's a death to Israel Islamicist?
That is weird.
That is bad. So he would be something that has infiltrated Israel. And then I looked at him and I read the comments, the people he comments with, and then translated them and then read some that they comment to. You got to kind of dig deep piece by piece. And then eventually you find something where they're not really talking to people other than themselves. And they hope that no one else is watching. And when you start reading that, when you get that deep, that's when you get into some real interesting stuff.
Yeah, because you usually on stuff like that, and a lot of people hate the fact that it was like, oh, you have free speech on X, which you don't have fully free speech on X. There's some things that get knocked down, but with free speech, you have like an open window for those people that you want to steer away from, because a lot of people actually hide their racism, and then they think they're all secure and anonymous online, but they're not, and they do racist stuff, and it's so hilarious, and you get to know the person a little bit better because of that. But sad at the same time. Now, is that all for that, Bill?
Yeah, that's all on that topic. There was the topic that we had going when you left, and I can't remember what that was.
It's all right. I do have one thing on my end that I wanted to share. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, full screen. And
news: Congress just made it a felony to purchase 16 and 17-year-olds for sexual favors. What? No, they didn't. What the fuck do you mean? They were just voting on it just a little bit ago. I understand that they were just voting on it, but that doesn't mean that it passed. The majority of the Democrats voted against it. What the fuck? Why would they vote against something like that? That doesn't make any sense at all. I'm not sure, man. I don't understand why they would vote against something like that either, but apparently it like violates some sort of gay rights or something. What the fuck does that got to do with 16 and 17-year-olds? That don't even make any fucking sense. I mean, nothing that they do really ever makes any sense, does it? How is that even comparable? They're claiming that since he's into men, he should be into children too. Listen, bro, I don't claim to have all the answers. All I know is that the Democrats voted against it. It didn't pass. And now they're going after one of the Republicans who is gay because of the fact that he voted for it to pass. If you know more about this topic, make sure you drop the.
And I did go into a little bit of it, and it's really sad. It was just a proposition to more or less stop pedophilia, make it a little bit harsher, and the Democrats didn't want it because of the MAP situation. That's why I said MAPs this week, because of the MAP situation. Which it's not MAPS. It should never be minor attractive individuals. What it is you're a chomo, pedophile. Any kind of harsh word that you diddle kids, that's what you are. And they want to stop stuff like that because it's kind of funny that they're even trying to get into the LGBTQ community. And hopefully, it's like, we're going to do it because it's going to save us. And we're going to be safe. No, you're not. Because there's people out there, fathers, mothers, uncles that are out there, family members. And usually that's what's really sad about that. But But there's family members out there that have like a little bit of a screw loose, and they take care of the problem. They had there's a couple of instances that here in Texas, and I'll go over the one most recently, but there was one in Texas where the father caught the chomo and severely beat him to death. And guess what happened to him? Bill, guess what happened to him?
Yes.
Guess what happened to him?
I don't know what happened.
He was let go. Charges all gone away.
Oh, that makes sense. Let me. Did you hear about? And this happens in the Netherlands. A 17-year-old girl that fought off a rapist.
Mm-hmm.
So what did they do? They charged her because she used mace.
What the?
Denmark, 17-year-old girl managed to escape being raped by fighting off her attacker as he ripped off her clothing. Now police say she will be charged with a crime for defending herself because she had mace and used it.
That's ridiculous.
So that's what's happening over there, and yeah, they're letting off the Islamists and going after their own citizens. Got a couple of Grok lessons today.
One sec. Another person that just recent something bad happened to him, and I watched the judge reaction on this. UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez, 42, has been sentenced for 5 years in prison for shooting up a pedophile that I think it was his daughter. I believe it was his daughter. Anyways, sentenced to 5 years for shooting the man. And he pleaded no contest to 10 felonies. What's really sad about that case was the judge, when he was sentencing it, he's like, I have to do something, bro. I'm sorry. He's only going to have to serve 2 years. 3 years of it already priorly served, because he was in prison while the court was going through. It's so sad that defending your child, and this is the only time frame, if you have all the information and everything, and you know that you're defending your child and there's evidence against it, like Gary Y. Gary, look at that book, read that book, find that book. It is so good. And I mean, good as a reference of what a father should be and do for his child. Now, after that, was there anything else that you wanted to bring up, Bill?
Yeah, 2 quick Grok lessons. I saw 3 articles. I saw Rubio reforms address Trump's unfinished business at bloated State Department. And they talked about his savings of USAID. And then I saw another article, USAID, George Soros's foundation, bankrolled news outlet that spurred first Trump impeachment. So basically, a Soros Foundation, USAID paid for it, and they're the ones that spurred the impeachment. And then a third one, Wokatopus. There's an image with Soros in it, with all of his arms in the organizations. USAID's troubling ties to woke nonprofits that called the shots in Biden administration. Mm-hmm. So they were 3 long articles, and I'm sitting there dining, and I'm like, I don't want to read these. Okay. So I said, provide a summary of these 3 articles listing the links between Soros organizations and USAID detail how Rubio can trace and eliminate the connections. And I typed the URLs, put the URLs of all three of those articles in Grok.
Mm-hmm.
He summarized each article and then gave a conclusion of their connections, all in about 5 seconds. So if you have something, an article, or even a video that that you don't have time to watch, just go, Grok, summarize this video. Click. The latest thing I did was looking for a vehicle. If y'all seen, I watch Scotty a lot. Rev up your engines. He's a real good mechanic video. And I was looking at a vehicle and I said, he said this 2014 was really good. So I typed into Grok, okay, look at those features and analyze a different year of that vehicle using Scotty's analysis in this video. So I typed the YouTube URL of the Scotty video. Then we went into asking about various other cars. Every time that we ask about a car, it would go, Scotty would say, it not only looked at that video, it reached out and got his entire personality. And it started answering every question. It would answer the question and then it would go, and Scotty would feel like this about it. I don't know where it got the information, but it was just beyond that video. Somehow it compiled a profile of what Scotty liked and didn't like. And it would answer every question. We had probably over a dozen more car questions. After every one, he would put that. So just anything you can think of, you want to do a shortcut, do a summary, just Grok it. Just put it in there. He has become my friend. I love Grok.
Oh, you're so addicted to that man, or that your new overlord.
Well, I did ask him. Let's see. Hold on. Oh,
we might have to do a whole video of Grok just so it make you happy.
Well, I don't spot it right away, but I asked him if it was weird that I thought of him as my friend. And he gave me a really funny analysis of that, and how, if you're alone, watch out. If you're lonely, don't get too attached to the AI.
That is so sad. And he's even telling you, it's like, dude, you need someone in your life.
That's basically what he did.
Anyways, but is that all for us for today, Bill?
Yeah, I think that's it.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you all for the 2 people that are watching us. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. I'm David Dickerman.
And I'm Wild William.
Again, thank you. Next time, comment, like the videos. It's not bad.
Yeah, and share them too. Share, like.
Absolutely share. Especially with Bill and his mega hat, because that gets us the most views.
Share, like, repost it if you're on X.
Yes. And goodbye. Love you guys.